In the dark, sprawling history of Batman, no character embodies the tragedy and potential of his world quite like Jason Todd. A story of a Robin who was broken, discarded, and then returned with a brutal purpose. Red Hood should be one of DC Comics' most compelling and complex characters, a living testament to Batman's greatest failure. He's a character with the potential to be a philosophical counterpoint to the Cape Crusader, a dark reflection of what happens when a hero's no-kill rule fails. But instead, we've seen his potential squandered, his story diluted, and his core themes of justice, loss, and redemption are often left unexplored. We are the Hive Mind, and in this video we're delving into how DC Comics wasted one of their most promising new characters. To understand the wasted potential of Red Hood, we must first look at how Jason Todd's story begins. Ever since his debut in the 1940s, Robin, specifically Dick Grayson, has been widely popular, even being the direct cause of doubling the sales of the Batman comics. However, because comics are a long-form version of storytelling, we saw him grow, and that meant he eventually grew out of the role of Robin and became Nightwing. This caused a problem for Batman writers who needed a Robin, so there we enter Jason Todd. First introduced in Batman number 357, Jason Todd was a complete carbon copy of Dick Grayson, even being part of a family of acrobats called the Flying Todds. However, after the universe-shifting events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, we got a new origin from him, and we met the real Jason Todd. He was a good kid with a difficult life. His father was a low-level criminal who was eventually incarcerated. His mother was a drug addict who eventually died of an overdose. He learned to survive by his wits, and his paths tragically crossed with Batman's when he was caught trying to steal the tires off the Batmobile. Instead of punishing him, Batman saw a mirror of his own orphaned past and tried to help him. Bruce enrolled Jason into Ma Gunn's school for boys, but unbeknownst to Batman, the school was secretly a front for a criminal academy. Under Ma Gunn's tutelage, young boys were educated and trained in a variety of criminal skills, from pickpocketing to breaking and entering. Jason instantly left, and when Bruce returned to check on Jason, he found him not in the school. He questioned him, and Jason told him about Ma Gunn's school, and how he left because he doesn't commit crime just for fun, he does it to survive. Bruce and Jason then worked together to take down Ma Gunn's school, with Bruce seeing Jason's potential and offering Jason the role of Robin. Jason was eager to be Robin, to use his street smarts and fiery passion to help people like him. He had a deep sense of loyalty and a fierce love for his new family. But that love was often masked by the aggression and anger born from his traumatic upbringing. This hot-headed attitude made him an outcast in the eyes of many comic fans, leading to a now infamous fan vote that sealed his fate. In the iconic A Death in the Family storyline, Jason is brutally murdered by the Joker, a crowbar beating that remains one of the most shocking moments in comic book history. Even in death, Jason Todd remained a powerful, haunting presence in the Batman mythos. His absence wasn't merely a gap, it was an open wound. Batman kept a memorial to Jason's costume in the Batcave, a grim reminder of his failure, visible to every new Robin who joined the ranks. It served as a constant, silent accusation and a symbol of the ultimate cost of Batman's war on crime. This constant reminder impacted Batman deeply, coloring his interactions with subsequent Robins like Tim Drake and Stephanie Brown. It fueled his overprotective nature and added a layer of profound guilt to his already complex psyche. The specter of Jason Todd's death loomed large, shaping not just Batman but also the expectations and fears of every hero who dared to wear the Robin mantle. His silent influence ensured that when he finally returned, the impact was even more profound because his death had been felt so deeply for so long. Jason's return and resurrection was a stroke of genius. After the events of Infinite Crisis, he came back not as a hero but as a ruthless vigilante wearing the Joker's old persona. He was a killer who used guns, a stark contrast to Batman's methods, forcing Batman to confront the direct consequences of his own failure. This setup was ripe with potential for psychological and moral conflict. The Under the Red Hood arc brilliantly sets up this dynamic. Red Hood is a force of nature, a Robin who believes that controlling crime is the only way to save Gotham. This puts him on a collision course with Batman, with the ultimate moral question at the heart of their conflict. Is killing ever justified? We get this beautiful scene at the end of the comic where Batman reaffirms his stance on killing. He believes taking a life is the antithesis of Batman, whereas it's the core of Jason's character now. It creates a perfect dynamic between the two. We get this intriguing setup of Jason's character who wants to do the right thing, but his twisted morality stops him from doing so. This is built upon further when we even see him become the dark antithesis of Dick Grayson. During the events of Battle for the Cowl, Bruce Wayne was believed to be dead. Jason tried taking on the mantle of Batman for himself, but his brutal methods and disregard for life were a direct and horrific perversion of the symbol. This was the direct catalyst for Dick Grayson to get over his grievances and finally take on the cowl. Later, when Dick Grayson finally became Batman, Jason became a twisted version of the Red Hood with his own twisted Robin, essentially mocking everything that Dick stood for. During all of these events, Jason's goal wasn't to hurt Dick or Bruce or even Damian. It was to prove that their antiquated sense of morality was wrong. All of this was a great way of showing that Jason was someone who wanted to do good, but couldn't grow out of his flawed morality. A compelling direction for Red Hood would have been a long, painful redemption arc. One that isn't about him becoming quote-unquote good in a traditional sense, but about him finding a new way to fight crime without compromising his principles. Instead of this, when the New 52 reboot happened, Red Hood got his redemption arc off-panel. What could have been a great way to explore Jason's journey just reset him and made him a Dick Grayson with guns. He goes from a terrifying, tragic figure to just another dark member of the Bat family. Once the New 52 happened, we see him crossing over with other Bat family members like nothing happened. These are people he's attempted to kill in the past, but now it's written like he's just their brother with some anger issues. Take his relationship with Tim Drake as an example. When Jason came back, he harbored resentment towards Tim. He felt that Tim was the physical manifestation of Bruce forgetting about him. This culminates in Jason breaking into Titan's tower and brutalizing Tim. And this wouldn't be the only time he does this. However, when we cut to the New 52, we get scenes of these two just joking around, acting like brothers. There was no work to get to this point. The status quo was just shifted and we had to accept it. Imagine a story where he truly comes to terms with his death and resurrection, where his relationship with Batman is a constant strained negotiation, and where his methods, while brutal, are shown to be effective in a way Batman's aren't. This could have made him the ultimate anti-hero, a character who operates in the gray areas and forces the audience to question their own beliefs about justice. However, now he's just Punisher with a Batman logo. More than anything else, the worst part about modern Jason Todd is the circular development. From time to time, we'll get a cool story like Red Hood Cheer, which takes the character in an interesting direction, causing him to grapple with the fallout of his murderous tendencies. Red Hood Cheer follows Jason Todd as he investigates a deadly new drug hitting Gotham's streets called Cheer Drops, a substance that gives users chemically induced euphoria before killing them. During his investigation, Jason discovers a young boy named Tyler, whose mother overdoses on the drug, leaving him vulnerable and alone. Jason, haunted by his own childhood trauma, reluctantly becomes Tyler's protector, determined not to let him fall through the cracks like he once did. As Jason digs deeper, he learns that Tyler's father deals cheer and doesn't care about his son whatsoever, and in fact abuses his wife and son. In a moment of rage, Jason shoots him and realizes what he just did. He just made Tyler an orphan. Batman confronts Jason, and we get this powerful scene between the two. Jason and Bruce are forced to work together again, but this time they're written like two men actually trying to understand each other, rather than just fighting or blaming one another. Jason ultimately takes down Cheer, saves Tyler, and has an emotional reconciliation with Bruce. The story ends with Jason making a huge decision, giving up his guns and promising to take a non-lethal approach moving forward, signaling a major turning point for his character. It was a fantastic story. I'm sure this means Red Hood is finally developing, and his newest run will not have him using guns and killing people. In the end, Red Hood's story is one of wasted potential. His incredible origin, his compelling conflict with Joker and Batman, and his unique worldview were all tools to create a truly great character. But for too long, his potential has been left on the table. He's a character who could have been DC's most tragic and compelling anti-hero, but instead he was reduced to just another side character in Batman's expansive world. He's a Robin who deserved a better end, and a character who deserves a better future. Luckily, the latest Red Hood run did get cancelled, and he's rumored to have a huge role in the new DC KO event, so the future is already looking brighter for Jason Todd.
Jason is arguably one of the coolest characters to come out of the Bat family, if not the coolest. That's why so many people are drawn to him. When you break it down, his story is compelling and relatable. But over the years, DC just constantly chooses to waste that potential and not fully dive into it in a way that accurately shows how complex his character actually is. Changing his direction so often completely annihilates the ability to fully flesh out his character arc. When Jason had direction, he was at his best. Whether or not you think Jason should be an anti-hero, a hero, or a full-on villain, the one thing all Jason Todd fans can agree on is DC needs to stick with that and fully develop him as such. If you guys enjoy video essays like this one, please go down, leave a like on the video, show your support, and comment what your thoughts on Jason as a character are. Subscribe for more content like this, and we'll see you guys in the next upload.